Today's episode may include foul language, sensitive discussion, different points of view, along with meaningful insight that is, of course, controversial. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your host, Jay, and you are watching live in our studios from Inside Out. We got a very special show as advertised, and I hope you all get a chance to get educated, learn something, and also maybe this will be beneficial for your locked up loved one somewhere in the United States. Today's topic is going to be talking about solitary confinement and what it means for your locked up loved one clear across this country of ours. But I'm not going to be doing this by myself. No, you heard that correctly. I have a very special guest that's going to be joining me right here on the hot phone. And some of you may know who this person is. So please, without any further ado, please give a warm welcome to my colleague, my best friend, my sister, Jaylee. Jaylee, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Jay. Greatly appreciate it. And as always, you're doing wonderful work there at the studio, and it is truly amazing to be at the studio for the first time officially co-hosting this show with you right here from Inside Out.
Yeah, we have a...
For our fans and all listeners, we have a wonderful show today. We're talking about solitary confinement, and it could be a very interesting show. So thank you, Jay.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I apologize for cutting you off there. I thought you were done, but I appreciate you chiming in here and being part of the show, because without you, this show technically wouldn't exist. So all credit and whatnot goes to you. So thank you very much for creating this awesome podcast and having your voice be heard out here.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely important to amplify voices of those who are the least among us, or perceived to be the least among us, including those incarcerated, which is the very reason the show was designed, to give a voice to the voiceless and to amplify those voices across the United States, so that people who are unfortunately finding themselves incarcerated can now get their stories out there into the community.
No, absolutely, and I totally agree with you. And from the I guess you could say rumor. I don't even want to use the word rumor, but according to you, because you're living it currently right now, you're the one that came up with this topic idea, and unfortunately, you got a lot of experience with this topic, unfortunately. So if you could go ahead and kick off the topic and talk about the details and whatnot, you can do that. And of course, in the rest of the show, I also have some details I want to share with you. I think a lot of you, including you, will be quite surprised on some of this data and information that I have to share with all the viewers.
Yeah, well, you've done a lot of hard work to investigate this subject, as have I and others that we are doing business with. Most importantly, this topic today deals with the ill health effects of long-term solitary confinement, and why we must work together to end this very unconstitutional practice, which has been determined to be a form of torture in the United States. So ironic is it that in the United States, the home of the brave and the so-called land of the free, that we treat our incarcerated loved ones like dogs and cats.
No, absolutely. I would have to 100% agree with you on that statement. And boy, did you hit that right on the nail. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take over on the data and information you have to share with your experience and whatnot when it comes to solitary confinement. For the viewers that don't know what solitary confinement means, there's a bunch of different meanings and definitions for it. Some of you call it the shoe, some of it call it the hole, some call it segregation. There's a laundry list of names that this is called, but it's basically, in a nutshell, very inhumane practices or inhumane living inside of our prisons. And I feel that Jaylee has quite the experience because, believe it or not, folks, as she's telling you this stuff, she's still in the hole. Yeah, you heard me correctly on that. She's still in the hole. She's talking on a tablet that the state finally gave her. So she's in her cell talking live to us right now in the hole. And that's messed up. So Jaylee, the hot phone's for you. Go ahead and explain to me what's going on with that. And of course, I will share my information after you're done with that. So the floor is yours, Jaylee. And again, welcome to the show.
Thanks again. I appreciate it greatly. You're doing a wonderful job. And for all our fans and listeners, just so you know, this show is designed to expose human rights abuses within our criminal injustice system and how you on the outside can help end this systematic abuse. You can reach us at email voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. That's voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. And you also can find us on the worldwide web. We just have a brand new website, ladies and gentlemen, that's up there and running. You can find us at FromInsideToOutside.com. That's the usual spelling, all lowercase letters, from inside, the word to, T-O, outside.com. So log on, share your comments and suggestions, and send us an email today. Give us some ideas for future shows. And your idea might be on the air in the future.
Absolutely.
So, From Inside Out, it is produced by the FIO studio crew, and FIO stands for From Inside Out. So our FIO studio crew puts this together, and we intend to try to do this every single week, at least every week or every 2 weeks. It's also produced by the FIO tech wizard, Chris Rad, at jailhelper@gmail.com. You can look up Chris at jailhelper@gmail.com. Also, the FIO web developer, along with organizations like Black and Pink Northwest and Beyond These Walls in the state of Oregon. And of course, including your daily suggestions, comments, and valuable support. We say thank you to you all. It is greatly appreciated. Today's episode may include foul language, sensitive discussion, different points of view, along with meaningful insight that is, of course, controversial. Viewer discretion is advised. It's 6:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 3:30 p.m. on the West. Thanks for tuning in to another informative edition of the podcast From Inside Out. I'm your founder and co-host, Jaylee, and I'm speaking to you live from within a Washington State prison. Your co-host and journalist, Jay, is speaking to you from the outside, as you can see there on the screen, and combined, we are known as From Inside Out. Today's episode is no different from prior shows in that we intend to inform you, give you the knowledge you need to make a fully informed decision, to inspire you in your efforts to make positive change happen, and instruct you on how we can all work together to make change happen within our Republican criminal injustice system. And we discuss topics related to mass incarceration, along with sharing your online comments and suggestions. Our central theme of the podcast is a voice to the voiceless. That's a voice to the voiceless.
Absolutely.
Before we get to our weekly topic, I want to introduce your co-host, my big brother, best friend, and co-producer of the podcast, a journalist in his own right. Welcome, Jay, to the show. How have you been, Jay?
Well, another day in paradise, my good friend, another day in paradise. But unfortunately that I'm breathing, and I'm back in the hot seat, as you guys can see, and I love doing what I do. I'm here to help all of you out and share knowledge when it comes to our prisons inside those walls. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more than you're being told. There's a lot more going on behind those walls or behind those fences than you all realize. And if you want great information when it comes to our prisons and all the other do's and don'ts and, negativity, if you will, going on inside of our prisons, then you tuned to the right station. This is From Inside Out, and I'm your host for this broadcast. And we do have some major things coming down the road right here live from Inside Out and future shows. So again, this is not just our show, it's yours. So if you got something to say, you want your voice heard or something prison related, hit us up right now at voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Again, our email is voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Get a hold of us and let us know what's going on, and maybe we can steer you in the right direction or help you. Isn't that correct, Jaylee?
Yeah, absolutely. That's very well correctly put. And we thank you for sharing that information. And we thank all our fans for tuning in today. You are definitely not forgotten, and you will be remembered as being loyal fans. And in the future, we're going to have contests and giveaways and all kinds of great fundraising events. So definitely stay tuned for all of that. And last but surely not least, Jay, I believe I'm speaking on behalf of our fans, all our supporters, the entire podcast crew, your family, when I say thank you, Jay, for all your hard work, your daily devotion and commitment in keeping this show alive when I cannot be there. You have inspired us on the daily. You are recognized, my brother Jay, and we see you, man. We all stay in one loud voice. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I just saluted you for that very nice, warm welcome. I appreciate you more than you know, but again, all credit in a sense. Again, I'm not taking all of it, so understand that, but all credit in a sense goes to you because you're the one who created, believe it or not, this platform, this idea, this show. And without you, unfortunately, we wouldn't have this show that exists. So to switch gears here real quick, again, thank you so much for that warm welcome, Jaylee. I do appreciate you more than you know. Sending big virtual hugs and kisses to you. I hope you can feel that. But with that said, we also have a merch line that Jaylee forgot to mention. So we will have a merch line, and we will have merch for sale. We're working on that. So there's a lot of things working behind the scenes to make this podcast a special one. And again, we couldn't do it without you, Jaylee. So anyways, Jaylee, go ahead and kick it off if you can, please, and talk about solitary confinement, and I will go ahead and do the same on my end.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay. Great job there for sharing what's coming down the pipe for all our fans. And as you said correctly, this show is for them. So let's get started and dive right into our weekly topic. Today's weekly topic is solitary confinement, how it affects us all, and what we must do together to end its use. And while we discuss this topic today, there will be an opportunity for you to submit your comments and or suggestions, and Jay will discuss those as we move along. Jay, we were scheduled to have a wonderful guest here today to be interviewed. His name is Jacob G.
Yeah.
But because of technical difficulties and scheduling conflicts, as happens in businesses, we couldn't get him in within time constraints that are in front of us. So we'll have to reschedule Jacob at a later date. But definitely want to send a shout out to Jacob and let him know we were thinking about him, and that in a future broadcast, we definitely will bring him into the studio and ask him questions related to this topic or even future topics. Any comments about Jacob there, Jay?
No, you hit that right on the nail too, and I appreciate you bringing him up because, unfortunately, you told me in a private chat not too long ago that this individual is pretty knowledgeable, got a lot of skills and whatnot, and he's very knowledgeable when it comes to prison. I understand that he did about 20 years, give or take, and he's seen a lot of interesting things inside those prisons. So yeah, he would have been a great asset. Unfortunately, yeah, things happen. People do have a life outside this podcast thing. So unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, which was the plan. So again, whatever he's going through, whatever he's got going on, our thoughts and prayers from inside out are with them. Thank you, Jaylee.
Yeah, absolutely. We're thinking about you, Jacob, and you may listen to this show. So definitely sending a love and respect to you, and we're there with you in spirit. And give us a call anytime or text anytime if you need some help or support. So, what is solitary confinement? Well, the American Friends Service Committee, AFSC in abbreviation, the American Friends Service Committee, they define solitary confinement as, quote, psychiatric decompensation, end quote.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
So what is psychiatric decompensation? Any comments on that, Dave?
Yeah, no, go ahead and explain that.
Yeah, okay. So in the most simplest terms, psychiatric decompensation, as we know the word psychiatric deals with your mind, and decompensation deals with your mind getting worse, or you are becoming very unhealthy mentally. And that's what solitary confinement does. It's what it's designed to do. It's a very cruel form of torture. It's been labeled as such, and the longer you do in isolation, the more damage is done to your mind. Any comments, Jay?
Well, no, you surprised me with that information, and I had no idea that actually existed. That is crazy, but man, some great telling information. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, and and interestingly enough, in Washington State, these living units are called restricted housing units. And that's currently where I am today.
I've heard of that.
Ironically.
I've heard about that.
The side story, we'll get to that later on down the road. But for the purposes of this show, we'll refer to it as what it really is, torture chambers.
Absolutely.
And, I know that's a controversial term, Jay, and I'm sure some of our fans will have some very interesting opinions on this matter. It's also a very sensitive topic, but we must discuss it and expose the negative health effects of long-term isolation in these rooms of torture.
No, absolutely. This information is important. It's telling. It's pertinent, and we need to address this so everybody, including some of our bigwigs, and I think you know who I'm talking about, our lawmakers, our governors, people of power, need to be aware of what's going on. They have no idea. They actually, technically, a lot of these bigwigs, they need to visit a prison. They need to just show up without any call or anything like that, and just show up and see what's really going on inside those prisons. So I think that's something that will work really well and open their eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. That will definitely shock the leaders over here and throughout the state that our lawmakers care enough to show up instead of just, count that they care on some camera somewhere. Yeah,
no, I get it. And again, when I say, ladies and gentlemen, corruption runs deep, that's not an understatement or a, hype, if you will. That's an actual real factual statement. Corruption runs deep inside of our prisons, ladies and gentlemen. And you're going to see firsthand if you pay attention.
You have 1 minute left.
I do apologize. This is a recorded call. So Jaylee is going to take a break, and we'll come right back after these messages. Welcome back, everybody. And sorry, I had to take a little small break. These calls are recorded, so I do apologize for that little interruption. But welcome back to the show, everybody. And again, I was talking about the corruption and how far and how deep it runs. And if you stick around with this podcast and this channel, you're going to find out from us how deep that corruption really goes. But with that being said, welcome back to the show, Jaylee, and go ahead and finish what you were talking about.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, for that. I appreciate it. So we're into the subject about psychiatric decompensation, and there is a psychiatrist that has weighed in on this issue and actually studied the effects of long-term solitary confinement for the past few years. And that psychiatrist is Stuart Grassian, S-P-U-A-R-T, last name G-R-A-S-S-I-A-N. You can look him up online. And he coined the term solitary syndrome. So that begs the question, what is solitary syndrome? Well, I have my understanding of what it is based on my own experiences, and of course what the psychiatrist has weighed in and said. And some of the symptoms that you'll experience if you're in solitary for any lengthy period of time are eventually you'll have free-floating anxiety, which means you can have anxiety at any moment without any warning to you. You just feel the effects of high anxiety. All that for the mispronunciation there.
Wow, very interesting.
Is hyper responsiveness to external stimuli, including what's known as a startle response. You know,
wow.
You have no right in the letter, all of a sudden, bam, you're startled and you don't know how you got a startle response. Well, that just means you're hyper responsive to everything going around you because you've had no stimulation from any human contact.
What?
The next symptom. Yeah, it can get really bad here, Jay. Here's another symptom.
Go ahead.
Psychological torture is perceptual distortions and hallucinations in multiple spheres, like auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, or olfactory hallucinations, which are you hear things in your ears that are not there.
Oh, my
God. Those are just 3 examples of some very ill health facts. I have more, but if you have some, Jay, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, and man, you hit that right on the nail, and that sounds kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of scary, in a sense. And let me ask you this, Jaylee, before I go into my my data that I want to share with all the viewers and fans out there. This is a reversible thing. It can't be fixed, or can it?
Well, that's a great question. It can be irreversible, which means you can't fix it if you're in solitary for long, long periods of time, which is why your Washington State legislature is trying to pass the bill called House Bill 1087. Apparently, I've learned recently that it didn't pass through committee and unfortunately won't get voted on this year. But we are keeping the track of that, and we're trying to push to get this bill passed so state law then will make it firm that nobody in one calendar year can do more than 45 days in solitary.
Oh, well, that's good news. And for the viewers, because I'm pretty sure the questions are going to come in, one of the questions that I'm pretty sure is going to be asked is, how long have you been in the hole, Jaylee?
Well, unfortunately, my fans will be shocked to hear that this is going on my 10th month in solitary.
Wow. Unbelievable. Excuse the word, that's fucked up. I'm just going to keep it real with you. And of course, all this time, 10 months, is some of the things that you mentioned probably can't be fixed. And it really screws up your mental capacity.
Yeah, it really disables us. And we definitely would qualify for disabilities. It makes it very difficult to live outside of isolation if you've been in isolation for so long.
Right. And again, you hit that on the nail. And let me speak on this for a second. You know, they treat you all, not just you, Jaylee, but basically every individual in the United States, all 50 states that have to deal with what you're dealing with. And believe it or not, there are case law and facts that back this up, that there are people that have been in prison, or excuse me, the hole, for longer than you have. And it's, man, I can go on and on and on about the long-term effects. I think it's messed up, but I'm going to show you all, not just you, Jaylee, but I'm going to show you, the viewers, what we're talking about and how messed up this really is. So bear with me. So on your screen, you guys are going to see this. So bear with me for 1 second. I do apologize for the way I'm showing you guys this. But on the screen, I'm hoping you can see this. Some of the questions that, get put out there. And I'm getting this information, and all credit goes to AFSC, which you see on your screen right here. You guys can follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I highly suggest you go check them out. I'll put their link and their information in the description of this video here tonight. But what you guys see on your screen is called, What is Solitary Confinement? And Jaylee and I are touching on that tonight. But here's the answer to that question that we get. Solitary confinement of prisoners goes by a number of names. which I've already explained, but here are some of them that I didn't explain. Isolation, the SHU, Special Housing Unit is what that stands for. Administrative segregation, supermax prisons, the whole MCU, management control units, CMU, communication management units, and so forth and yada yada you see on your screen. And it's just very, very heart-wrenching to read some of this stuff. But you guys, what causes an individual or locked up loved one to go to this the hole? And why do they have to be there anyways when they're already in prison in the first place? Well, you guys are going to see that right here on the screen. And again, I hope you are able to see this on the screen. If not, I'll have to figure out another way. But anyways, I'm reading off a very highly respected webpage, and you guys will be able to see this in your entirety on your own time. It says here, although solitary confinement conditions vary from state to state, and among correctional facilities, systematic policies and conditions include, and here's a laundry list of them. Confinement behind a solid steel door for 22 to 24 hours a day. Unbelievable and uncalled for. Severely limited contact with other human beings, frequent phone calls, and rare non-contact family visits, which Jaylee hit on. Extremely limited access to educational programs and other programs that you guys can see there. Absolutely. It's bullshit. Excuse my language. I get kind of heated over this stuff. Grossly inaccurate medical and mental health treatment, which is another reason why people go nuts in there. Restricted reading material, personal property, basically nothing to do but look at the four walls. Physical torture such as hog tying, which has been done, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Restraint chairs, forced cell extraction, and then of course this one hurts the most for me for some odd reason. I don't know why, but it bothers me. No touch torture, such as a sensory deprivation, permanent bright lighting, extreme temperatures, and focused or forced insomnia. And that's just to name a few, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it right there that we're not making this up. This happens inside our prisons that all you taxpayers pay for. And I want you guys to read this or hear this.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jaylee. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I was going to say yes, absolutely. Everything you read there is exactly what I've either witnessed or experienced. So this is a very credible fight, and the evidence and the list of things that are experienced in long-term solitary is correct on the screen. And so you definitely want to share that with all you know and get the word out.
Yeah, and that was just a small telling, too, sis, of what we're seeing. Again, I'll bring it back up for the viewers to see. I'm hoping they get to see this. Let me go ahead and read this real quick for the viewers. And this will tell you kind of how all this started in a sense. Beginning, and again, this was the beginning, I guess. Beginning in the early 1970s, prisons and jail administrators at federal, state, and local level. So every prison, jail, and from a federal and state level are doing this. It says increasingly on isolation and segregation to control men, women, and youth in their custody. Youth is another word for children. In 1985, there were a handful of controlled units across the country. Today, more than 40 states. 40! And there's 50 states, obviously, in the United States. So think about that. Do the math. Have super maximum security or supermax facilities, primarily designed to hold people in long-term isolation. Bullshit. Okay? Bullshit. I'm a taxpayer. I don't want to pay for that, but I don't have a choice. So there you go. And then here's some more. A question was raised. How many people are in solitary confinement in the U.S.? Great question. And here's the answer, ladies and gentlemen. There are more than 80,000 men, women, and children in solitary confinement. What's your take on that, Jaylee?
It's truly disgusting and heartbreaking to see what our country has turned into. Our founding forefathers would be rolling over in their grave today if they had seen the result of all their hard work in what we see today. So yes, definitely heartbreaking statistical data, and it's really unnerving. And if we don't get ahead of this and try to put a stop to this in one way or another, it's only going to get worse.
No, absolutely. And again, you said that right on the You said the truth right there. That's not hype. That's not, that's facts. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are listening to this and you're watching this and this makes you upset, pisses you off, whatever it does, reach out to us. Help us put a stop to this solitary confinement bullshit. You want your voice heard? I need you, and we need you, to stand up, put your feet to the ground, and march your ass down to the Capitol and let your lawmakers know what's going on. This is inhumane 8th Amendment violation treatment. And if you want more information on this, let's work together and let's stop this bullshit that's going on inside of our prisons. These are your locked up loved ones. These people go through this daily, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm talking to my loved one right now, live on the hot phone, Jaylee, who is in the hole, talking to me right now. Jaylee?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can definitely see the passion in your voice, and you can feel it. I got to say, I wish I was in a privileged position that you're in, Jay, or our listeners are in, because you have more ready access to the phones. You have access to walking down to the Capitol, calling your legislator or your senator, and raising holy hell about this issue and any other related issue. If I was in that kind of position, it would be a nonstop day-to-day task to push this issue of trying to get House Bill 1087 passed.
Yeah, and I can't do it alone, though. I mean, you hit that right on the nail. But again, I can't do this alone. So I need all of you out there, all the activists, real ones, not fake ones, by the way. And I got a lot of snakes in the grass, and I'll talk about that later if I have time to. But, I need to trust. I need people that are not just talk, not just hype. They're willing to do the work behind the scenes and be a voice for the voiceless. Jaylee?
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the subject of the above conditions that we listed. These above conditions that people who have suffered and testified to reveal numerous systematic violations of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that the United Nations put out, and also violations of the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. Because, 9 times out of 10, most of the people incarcerated are a minority, whether it's a African American or some other minority. They tend to be the ones targeted. In my particular situation, I am an outspoken civil rights advocate and well-known transgender individual who is in transition from male to female, and we are really belittled, and we are marginalized, and we are targeted a lot more than you would ever think. This is also National Day for Women, and so this is a very interesting time to be doing this show to represent women out there, whether you're trans or not. And just to say to all the women out there, if you are currently in isolation, or you have a loved one who is female or male living in isolation, whether they're cisgendered or not, just a shout out to all of you. This is a channel where you can get their voices heard. So please, once again, reach out to us here at the studio so we can amplify those voices.
No, absolutely. And Jaylee, thank you so much for hitting on that, because again, as you also know, you just, brought up, as you also know, not just with this segregation crap that we're talking about here tonight, but there's a lot of other violations and whatnot going on in there with the transgender violations, the other gray area that I want to talk about right now for this show. But there's a lot of bad stuff that happens behind the scenes to you people, and the public is not even aware of it until now. So from inside out, we are going to expose the corruption and the bad stuff that you see going on inside of our prisons. And I basically have a whistleblower, my great colleague and sister, Jaylee.
Thank you, Jay. That was correctly put, for sure. I mean, I live and breathe this, and I experience it every day. And it's just wonderful for the first time in many, many, many decades, being able to get my voice through these prison doors to the outside world. And our listeners, they may be wondering how they can reach out and help make a difference. Well, you can contact your legislative representative or your senator.
There you go.
And demand they take action immediately on House Bill 1087 and other related bills in order to help end this barbaric and inhumane practice.
Yeah.
And you can reach out to them at leg.wa.gov. That's leg.wa.gov.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that information, Jay. You hit that again. That's awesome information that no one else is going to tell you. So again, we appreciate you with this knowledge and information that you're sharing with all the viewers out there. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's very important. Knowledge is power. Remember that. If you have the knowledge that they don't think you have, then you'll know when they're lying to you. Okay? So that's the one thing that they don't like, is you gaining knowledge, and you can tell a difference between a truthful politician and one that's not being truthful at all.
Absolutely. And as a lot of you don't know, anything prison related is actually politic related too as well, or politics. Everything that you are talking about tonight is politic related in some form or fashion, unfortunately. And when DOC opens their mouths and talk, as soon as they open their mouth, they're lying. So that if they're right, if their mouth is moving, they are lying, and you are firsthand proof of that. What's going on? You have
1 minute left.
All right. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more information and whatnot regarding segregation. Stay tuned, everybody.
The caller has hung up.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Again, we had these phone calls that Jaylee is using are recorded and timed, so we had to pause through all of that. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to basically cover the solitary confinement and the effects and all that and what it causes for this show. Now, again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns regarding this topic tonight, again, I've showed you guys how to reach out to us, and Jaylee will also give some information out if you want to contact her and whatnot. But as of right now, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or maybe even some headaches, please email me right now at our studios from voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Again, our email to contact us, all one word, by the way, voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Reach out to us, and we'll do our best to reach back. With that said, Jaylee, any closing arguments for this topic tonight? Segregation, and what a major headache. Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, thank you so much again for this opportunity, Jay. Appreciate it. To sum up and to close this episode out, I'll just say one final statement, and it's really brief. And basically, what I want to say to our fans and all those listening is the only way this practice is going to end is more and more voices need to be heard. There needs to be a campaign of bringing attention to this issue down at the headquarters in Olympia. You need to get a hold of your senator and your legislative representative, and you need to try and meet with them face to face, because sometimes they won't even answer your phone calls or your emails. But imagine a day when we have hundreds of people marching on the Capitol in Olympia to try and affect change and to end this torturous practice. That would truly be a dream come true. So in honor of all of those currently in segregation, suffering the ill health effects of this torturous practice, I'm saying to all of our listeners and all those who have heard of this show and are sharing it, thank you so much. Our statement is this: we demand change immediately. In order to get this change to happen, we need your help. We can't do it from inside a segregation cell. So thank you again for tuning in. I'm here to offer any help and support that you may need. You can reach out to me here at the studio by email, voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. That's voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com, or on our brand new website that we just put up, ladies and gentlemen. It's called From Inside to Outside.com. That's from inside, the word TO, outside.com. Look us up, share with us your suggestions and comments, reach out, and let's coordinate together to end this torturous practice from inside out. Back to you, Jay.
Well, thank you very much, Jaylee, for that very informative information. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the horse's mouth. A locked up loved one, my sister, Jaylee, the owner and founder from Inside Out, talking to us live in the hole. And this is the part that hurts me. I mean, I wish I was like, I had some superpowers or super wand or something along those lines to get her out of this fucking mess that she's in. Now, a lot of haters and whatnot, excuse my language, would sit there and say, well, she deserves to be where she's at. She did something pretty heinous and da-da-da-da-da. You know what? People age out, ladies and gentlemen. They age out. They're not the same person they were when they were 19 damn years old. So get over yourself. So if you're a hater, kick rocks off my channel. I don't really want to mess with you. With that said, I'm your host, Jay. We are going to do more live shows like this coming down the pike with major events, a merch line, and everything that we can do to educate the masses when it comes to our prisons. So stick around. You might learn something. With that said, I'm your host, Jay. I will catch you all in the next video right here in our studios from Inside Out. Good night, Jaylee.
Good night, everybody.